Hey guys, welcome to the next installment of the 1966 GT6 restoration in the Rusty Beauties garage. And before we do anything else, I want to show you what I didn't finish in the last video. Remember, I didn't finish welding here this part, and I kind of left you on the cliffhanger with that. So now this part is welded. I didn't even bother grinding it on this side because I want it to be solid, so I can grind on the outside, if I can consider this outside, whatever. So I think we did a good job here, ground it as much as we could. There's this little patch here, it's also ground, so it's gonna require very little body filler just to fill up these cavities, but it's not too bad. And here as well, it's gonna need some body filler. I can grind it better than that because my weld is not great. Also here inside, this is impossible to be ground better than that, at least for me. So it's gonna need just maybe with a finger I can put a little bit of body filler and sand it nicely, and that's gonna be it. So this wheel is done. This wheel well is done, and now let's get our focus on that one, which looks even worse. Here even this piece is gone. Here it's gone much higher. Surprisingly, here we don't have this step, which I just realized. There we have the step, here we don't. I don't understand. Anyways, but also here the rust is gone much higher, so we will figure out how we're gonna repair that. It might be a little bit more difficult and challenging, but we love challenges, so let's get crack-a-lacking. Well, like I said, doesn't look great here. So here the rust spread even higher. So we're gonna have to replace the metal much higher. But it's good that we have reference, so I think we're gonna approach it the same way. We're gonna make the lip first up to this corner here. We're gonna grind this away. We're gonna tack it only where we can. Here obviously it's gonna be in the air, here it's gonna be in the air, but we're gonna have to find a way to keep the lip where it's gonna be, and then replace parts of the rest of the wheel well above the lip. We're gonna kind of make the boundaries and then fill the holes. But first of all, let me clean it up a little and see how far the rusted metal is. All right, it's even worse than what I thought. All of this is pitted, like so bad that I don't want to keep it, let alone these holes. So yeah, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to replace this whole entire bowl to this lip, and I can make one repair on one side and then cut the other one and make it on the other side, or we're gonna see. Let's make the lip first. We made one last time, so I'm not gonna hold you here. I'm just gonna put it on time-lapse mode so you can see what I'm doing, but not too much detail. Okay, so here is our lip that matches the fender inside, but here we don't have much reference here, right? So let me cut off this rust from here, just underneath. For now we're gonna keep the rest as a reference, but from underneath I'm gonna cut everything so I can put the lip there and see if we can somehow position it where we think it needs to be. Come on. Surprisingly solid for what it is, which is rust. It's gonna be fun. Much harder than the other side, but whatever. Let's cut this. Okay, I guess at this point the easiest would be to put the fender on, open the bonnet and put this from inside and mark where it's gonna meet this part, and then we can grind or whatever we want to do. I think we need to grind more here and more here, but let's put the fender and make sure. Well, it's actually another day. Yesterday it wasn't my day. For whatever reason I just couldn't work. I didn't feel like working, and also a friend showed up, so we had a beer in the afternoon and a little chat. And today, this morning, I went on a drive with the Toronto Triumph Club. I decided to take a day off and I really enjoyed it. I was with my son Nick and we had a great time. So today it's like already 4 o'clock, but I'm gonna work for a while in the garage. Anyway, so the fender is on. I put it with the Clicos as it was before, and now I have also the lip inside and I clamped it with the Clico clamps. Well, I don't know what these are called, but they do a great job. Now we can see exactly where we need to cut it, and you know what, I'm not even gonna cut it because the whole thing is gonna have to come out anyways. I'm just gonna tuck it in few places as it is, even though these pieces are gonna come off later, but I'm just gonna tuck it here so it can stay where it is. In some areas, well, I'm trying to squeeze myself into the engine bay, so in some areas I have a gap, so I'm gonna figure out how, but I still want to tuck it here. Even if I have to take small strips of metal and hook these up together, here I have access from behind and I can push it and it touches, so I can weld it here. And yeah, and once it's tucked in place, we can remove the fender and start replacing panels. Or actually, I'm thinking maybe I should make first this end piece for here, because I can weld it directly to the lip, so that's gonna hold my end nicely. Here, I don't know. Yeah, here we can tuck it, so yeah, we'll see what we're gonna do, but yeah, let me tuck it. And I'm gonna start from this time. Okay, I tucked it to a rust, so it's not very solid, but it is tucked and it's gonna stay until we need it. And here too, in two places. I can't do anything here, but it's actually pretty solid now that it's tucked in the two places here and the two places here, so I'm not gonna do anything for now for here. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna cut this, so I don't need to split it here because this needs to be replaced, this needs to be replaced, so I'm just gonna cut it like this and maybe like this. I'm gonna get rid of that, and we're gonna make only this piece, and later we're gonna deal with this. Needs to be cut more, I guess, and this needs to be replaced, the whole piece, I guess, but later we're gonna think about that. For now, I'm gonna make only this one, and this time I'm gonna actually bend this flange a little, because for the other side I made it pretty flat, and it turns out this is not correct. You see there, I have difference between the two pieces, but that's easy to fix. I'm gonna cut the flange from underneath, I still have access, and we're gonna bend it a little, and then we're gonna weld the flange. That's not a big deal. It was gonna be nice if I stretched it on the shrinker stretcher, but now that it's welded there, I can't. So anyways, we're gonna fix that. Maybe, you know what, let's do that now. Okay, that's better. So now it has a little curve here. Now I only need to weld the flange at the back, and that's gonna act as plug welds, because that's gonna weld the two flanges together. They're both cut now. But for the other side, like I said, I'm gonna pre-bend it on the shrinker stretcher. All right, so it's the next day, and I didn't finish yesterday what I was gonna do, so we're gonna finish it today. Anyways, it's Canada Day today. It's July 1st, so happy Canada Day to all Canadians. Happy Canada Day. Anyway, so we're gonna do some work, and tonight we're gonna go see the fireworks. It's gonna be fun. So this thing, I cut this piece, and I'm debating how to proceed with it. So, like I said, I need to make a little curve like this, right? For this side, of course, we're gonna do a flange, and we're gonna stretch it on the stretcher. But on this side, we first need to make this bend, I guess. And then we're gonna have to shrink this flange to make this curve. But it's gonna be pretty deep bend, so it's gonna be hard to shrink it on the shrinker. So I'm thinking maybe we should stretch it actually. Instead of shrinking it here, we can stretch it here on the English wheel, and that's gonna make it curve a little bit. So yeah, that's what I think we're gonna do. First we're gonna pre-stretch it, and then we're gonna bend it more. We're gonna put this anvil with a pretty low crown. We don't need a huge crown today. Okay, we made just a very low crown here, and let's bend it now a little and see how that's gonna affect the whole thing. Okay, that's a pretty wide, the curve needs to be pretty wide, so I don't want to bend it on the brake or even on the vise, so I'm gonna put something here to help me with the curve. That's what was nearby, so that's why I'm grabbing the hammer. Okay, that's better now. Now we have to trim the end. Like a glove, but have to trim this end here because this now is too long. This part is okay, but here we need to trim it because it narrows as it goes down. See what I'm talking about? Because this needs to come on top of this. So we need to trim it pretty well. Like this. Okay. It's gonna require some more trimming, but for now just the corner we can get rid of. Okay, just that looks better. So now here our lip, the whole arch that we made, and this piece overlap. So that's fine. We're gonna cut them later. Now let's mark where to bend this flange. So this is where our flange needs to go. Now for my brake, people kept telling me that I need to drill holes and mount it, or kept giving me different advice how to make it more stable and I don't need to use so much strength. And I know, guys, I know that, but I don't want to make it permanent. First of all, this is not my garage, so I don't want to drill holes all over the floor. Second, I don't want to make it permanent here because I'm not sure that this is the permanent position of the brake, because I rearrange the things all the time. I might need to put a car here and have the brake somewhere else, so I don't want to make it permanent. I like when things are mobile and I can rearrange them as I want to. So it's not a big deal. Like I can always, I don't bend huge flanges that much, and if I have to, I can just step on it and do it. It's not a big deal. So anyways, that's bent. So now let's make it a little bit curved on the shrinker, or actually on the stretcher. And that automatically made it, curved it here in the middle too, because this was curved, and here maybe a little bit more, but I can do it with my fingers. So we have to get rid of this part of the flange here. And I'm debating whether to cut this shorter or to cut this higher. Okay, I'm gonna cut this a little bit higher. So all the way to here, I guess. Okay, so now whether we like it or not, we have to trim this end as well. Okay, I think that's good. They still overlap a little, but I'm just gonna be able to tuck it in two places here so it can stay where we want it. So then we're gonna be able to remove the fender and that part, because we're gonna tuck it here too, or we can even weld it here. But then we can remove the fender, and this part is gonna hold the end of our arch here, and the other end is held, so we can remove the fender and start with the other pieces. Okay, so it's tucked here in two places, and here, and here, and that gives us a pretty solid structure. So now we can remove the fender and see what Frankenstein we built. Actually, I know the doctor is called Frankenstein. The monster is called the monster, I guess. Okay, so like I said, pretty solid structure. So now we can start piece by piece repairing it. You see this here is overlapping, but we're gonna fix that. We're gonna trim them. So I guess now that the bonnet is open, I can repair this part here first to make it solid, like really solid till the end. And then well, we need to make a tack here somewhere. And then we can bridge here maybe with something temporarily to hold them together. And then we can cut a big piece out and replace it, and then replace the other part. Let's start with this. Okay, here's our first piece. So I'm just gonna move this tack here. I'm gonna weld another, obviously. Or we're gonna take this one and place it here. We're gonna cut this, and we're gonna weld this instead. Might need to bend this angle, this corner a little bit more. Yeah! Okay, that was too optimistic. It's like welding to a newspaper. Thank you. That's all. No, that's all. Okay, that's enough. So put that here somewhere. You maybe didn't see that. I bridged it here, and now I can cut this piece out. So let's cut it just before the curve, so we don't need to bother making curves. And maybe somewhere to here, just before the tuck. Yeah, let's do that. Let's at the end, let's cut it like that. Okay, so now we can use this piece as a template to make this one. There you go. So this piece is pretty flat actually. It looks like it has some curve. Maybe it has a little bit of a crown this way, but in this orientation it's pretty flat. Yeah, we might run it on the English wheel a little bit to give it very little crown. So here, remember we were a little bit lower on this side, so here I'm gonna mark it with the marker. All the way to here everything was matching, but here we had a little gap. So from here I'm gonna make it a little bit wider. Okay, so we just want to give it a little bit of crown this way, and eventually it's also gonna bend it this way, but we will see about that. Okay. Okay, I think it's good. So now we just need to bend this thing to represent this thing here. And then the rest we're gonna do on the car. Okay. Obviously, yeah, I left it too long here on this side, so we have to shorten. We have to trim that. Here we're good. This we need to straighten a little bit. I'm gonna shave this part a little bit. So just here. So we can make this much, because now you see it opens a gap here. So we're gonna push it that way a little to come like this, and then we're gonna trim the bottom to match our lip. Okay, that's pretty good. So now let's trim this, which starts from here. So I shouldn't have added anything here, right? Because the gap is here. I don't know if you see that. Yeah, the gap is here. I thought the gap was here. Anyways, we can trim that again. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So let's tack it at the top end, then we're gonna tack the bottom end, and then we can cut the next one. All right, so this is done. Now let's drop the bonnet down and do the last one. Well, then we have another one there, but that's another story. Okay, this one again we're gonna cut here on top, but then we're gonna come down and we're gonna cut it just before it starts this curve. Watch that, it's hot. Don't touch it. So, I think it's all welded nicely. Inside too. We welded everywhere. So now I'm gonna take my time grinding it. We'll see if there's some pinholes somewhere. We're gonna fill them up and we're gonna call this done. Okay, so I ground it on the outside just enough so it's not it doesn't look too ugly, but again, this is something that nobody's ever gonna see, so we're gonna leave it ground this much, and inside is where they're gonna see more when the bonnet is open. And here I think we did a good job. Of course, it's gonna need very little Bondo just to fill up the cavities here and there, but yeah, I think it looks great. So what's left is to drop the bonnet and see if the fender still fits. Okay, so I think it fits pretty well everywhere. Here looks like it is. It could have been a little bit more open, the wheel well, but still we have enough here for a plug weld, and we can trim the wheel well. I don't want to push I can push the fender in, but I don't want to because I don't know, maybe we have to. We will see when the time comes. We will see if we have to push the fender in, or we can just trim this excess because I don't want it to stick so much. So that's gonna be it. I think this side was a little bit more complicated and the grinding was horrible. I guess my face is super dirty. Don't tell me. I'm just gonna go shower now. So that's gonna be it, guys, for today. Thanks for watching, thanks for commenting and subscribing, thanks for sharing, thanks for supporting me on Patreon and PayPal. That's highly appreciated, guys. And if you're not a Patreon but you wish to become one, there's details in the description how you can support me via Patreon, or you can also send me a one-time donation via PayPal or e-transfer to my email address elin.yakov@rustybeauties.com. And just a reminder, the financial support is not a requirement in order to have access to all my videos. They're all for free. If you want to support me financially, that will be only if you want to say thank you or if you just feel like it. So with that said, guys, I'm gonna sign off and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.